Hello, fellow wealth builders, and welcome back to the TruFinancials channel. My name, of course, is Dennis, and today we're going to be talking about fully funded emergency funds. Really quick, though, if you are new to this channel, I do like to talk a lot about personal finance, investing, and retirement. So if you're interested in any one or all those subjects, definitely consider subscribing today. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon so you get notifications when new videos do come up. So what is a fully funded emergency fund? Now, a fully funded emergency fund is something that you have set aside for an unexpected event. So that can be, an appliance breaking down. It could be your car stops working, you have to go to the hospital, or the most important one too is going to be if you have a job loss. The reason that we want to have those set aside is because, like I mentioned, they are unforeseen events, but you can also have things that are foreseeable. So for example, if you do have a car and the tires are starting to get worn out and you know you're going to have to replace those, that can be something where you have money set aside in a sinking fund every single month, so that way it does not become an emergency. So make sure you consider those things where if you know something is going to get worn out, or you know you have to go to the hospital in a few weeks or a few months, that you have money set aside for those things, because then they won't become as big of an emergency. And what you're going to hear a lot too is you're going to hear a lot of people talking about 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. But what do they mean by that? What do they mean when you hear 3 to 6 months? So what they're talking about is cost of living, things that you need for the bare necessities to be able to make it past whatever emergency that you're going through. So 3 to 6 months is going to include things such as rent or mortgage. It's going to be water, electricity, food, gas, things that just make it so you can make the cost of living. Entertainment, going out to movies, eating out, those kind of things should start getting cut back if you're in those type of emergencies where you have like job loss or having to go to the hospital and can't make an income. You need to make sure that you're cutting those regular expenses that you don't necessarily need. So that will kind of help out too. So when you're adding up your totals of total for expenses, you're not adding up your $60 a month for eating out, because at that point you're going to be eating more in at home since you're trying to save as much as you can and going through that emergency. You get to kind of choose, what you feel most comfortable with. And 3 to 6 months is just what you most commonly will hear. But if you need 8 months, if you need, 10 months, or even a year, to make yourself feel most comfortable, then that's okay too. You just got to consider it's going to take a little longer to get to that point and have that money saved up. So when I was looking at it, because job loss would be a very critical thing for anyone, 13 weeks is about the average span of time between somebody losing a job and actually being able to find a new job. So imagine 13 weeks without any type of income. That's a little over 3 months. And if you have a fully funded emergency fund, that can protect you during that time of having to look for a new job. And if you don't have that emergency fund, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start using credit cards, going into debt, and you're just going to take that wealth building and kind of reverse it and go the opposite direction, which is, of course, something we don't want to do. To kind of help you figure out how much you might need in your emergency fund, I'll go ahead and give an example. So let's say that you add up all your totals for your monthly expenses, and they come out to $1,650 every single month. So what you can do is just go ahead and times that by whatever amount of time you're going to feel most comfortable with. Like I said, 3 to 6 months is average. You can go a little bit more if you like to as well. But let's go ahead and say that it's 6 months of emergencies that you want to have set aside. So that's going to equal to about $9,900. Of course, you can round it up if you want to. You can have it at whatever number you want to set it to. But that kind of number right there is going to give you a really good example of how much you need to have set aside for the amount of time that you want to have. So for us, we're going to plan on doing about 6 to 8 months. And then if you look at our budget videos, you'll actually be able to see how much we do on a monthly basis when it comes to cost of living. So the nice thing is, if you also have a monthly budget that you're doing already, you can easily find out how much your expenditures are on a given month. And if you don't do a budget, you definitely have to make sure you add everything up so that way you can figure out what your cost of living is, so you know how much you're going to need to have set aside. And that is very important when it comes to having that emergency fund, because you want to be prepared for those unexpected events. So that's going to be the most important thing when it comes to an emergency fund, is knowing how much you want to have set aside, knowing the time frame, and then also, of course, knowing what actually is considered an expense versus luxury when it comes to the emergency times, such as job loss or going to the hospitals and not having any sort of income. All right, guys. So in the comment section down below, let me know what kind of emergency fund you guys are planning on having or already do have. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Or is it even more than that? Right now we're actually just getting out of the debt portion, so we don't have a fully funded emergency fund, but we do plan on doing about 6 to 8 months of emergency, somewhere around that number, to make us feel a little bit more comfortable if something were to ever happen to us. So let me know in that comment section down below what you have planned or already have for your emergency fund. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. And then, as I mentioned earlier too, if you are new to this channel, I do like to talk about personal finance, investing, and retirement. So if you're interested in any one or all those subjects, definitely consider subscribing today and hitting that little bell icon for when new videos do come up. All right, thank you, fellow wealth builders, and you guys have a great day.